Reception. Every Army journey begins at Reception Battalion, sometimes called Zero Week. This is not officially part of basic combat training, but it is the essential foundation where civilians are transformed administratively and medically into recruits who are ready to begin training. Reception lasts anywhere from 4 to 10 days, depending on the size of the incoming group and the speed of processing. For most, it feels like the longest week of their lives. There is less shouting and chaos than in the training company, but the stress is still there. Recruits spend long days moving from one station to the next, filling out forms, standing in lines, and being evaluated. Medical screening dominates the early days. Soldiers are given blood tests, dental exams, eye exams, and hearing checks. They receive a series of vaccinations in what many call the shot line, where multiple shots are given one after another. They are weighed, measured, and tested for fitness to ensure no hidden issues could prevent them from completing training. Alongside medical checks comes administrative paperwork. Recruits sign forms for pay, life insurance, emergency contacts, and family information. They are introduced to Army finance and told when to expect their first paycheck. The Army is a bureaucracy as well as a fighting force, and reception proves that point quickly. It is also the week of the haircut. Male recruits have their heads shaved down to the scalp, while female recruits must cut or secure their hair according to Army grooming standards. This simple act is powerful. It strips away individuality and signals the start of a new identity. Recruits are issued their uniforms, boots, helmet, body armor, rucksack, and all the equipment they will carry for the next 10 weeks. The first time they put on their Army combat uniform is a moment many remember. It is still stiff, ill-fitting, and uncomfortable, but it represents entry into something greater. Reception also introduces the basics of Army life. Recruits practice standing in formation, marching a few steps at a time, addressing drill sergeants with the proper "yes, drill sergeant," and eating in a military dining facility. They learn the importance of speed, precision, and following orders immediately. By the end of reception, recruits are already worn down. The days start before dawn and end late at night. Sleep is short, food is fast, and stress is constant. This is only the beginning, but it sets the stage for the shock of what comes next. Red Phase. The first true stage of basic combat training is the Red Phase, which lasts from week 1 through week 3. This phase is designed to break down every civilian habit and build the foundation of military discipline. Drill sergeants take full control of the company. They shout, they correct, and they enforce perfection in every movement. Beds must be made to regulation, uniforms must be worn exactly as prescribed, and formations must be flawless. Any mistake by one recruit often leads to punishment for the entire platoon. This collective accountability teaches that no soldier ever fights alone. Early in Red Phase, recruits complete the event called the first 100 yards. This is a symbolic initiation, replacing the old shark attack. Recruits are immediately thrown into team-based challenges, carrying heavy equipment, moving as squads, and beginning to learn Army history. It sets the tone that success will only come through cooperation. Red Phase also introduces physical tests. Recruits face the Army Combat Fitness Test for the first time, a 6-event test that measures strength, endurance, agility, and overall conditioning. Morning runs, circuit training, and obstacle courses fill the schedule. By the end of the day, muscles are sore and energy is low, but the body begins to adapt. Training is not limited to physical events. Recruits begin learning combatives, the Army's hand-to-hand fighting system, as well as land navigation and basic map reading. They practice first aid through combat lifesaver lessons, learning to apply tourniquets and treat bleeding. The confidence tower and obstacle courses test both bravery and teamwork. Victory Tower, a 40-foot climbing and rappelling structure, forces recruits to overcome fear of heights while trusting their equipment and their peers. The gas chamber is introduced during this phase. Wearing protective masks, recruits enter a room filled with CS gas. At one point, they must break the seal, inhale, and reseal. The experience is miserable. Eyes water, lungs burn, and skin stings. But it proves that the equipment works and that soldiers can remain calm under chemical threat. Weapons training begins with familiarization. Recruits learn how to field, strip, clean, and maintain the M4 carbine. They carry it constantly, treating it as an extension of themselves. No live fire occurs yet, but the basics of safety and responsibility are drilled into them. The Red Phase ruck march is 4 miles with about 35 pounds of gear. This is often called the hammer in some training battalions. For many recruits, this is the first true test of endurance under load. Feet blister, shoulders ache, and pace must be kept. It teaches that movement under weight is the heart of combat. By the end of Red Phase, most recruits are exhausted. Many consider quitting, but those who endure start to see change. They are louder, sharper, more disciplined, and more unified as a team. White phase. The second stage is the white phase, which lasts from week 4 through week 6. It is also called the gunfighter phase. This phase is dominated by marksmanship. Nearly every day is spent on the range with the M4 carbine. Recruits begin with dry fire exercises, practicing sight alignment, breathing control, and trigger squeeze. They progress to zeroing their rifles, then live fire at multiple distances. Targets appear at ranges from 50 to 300 meters, and recruits must engage them from prone, kneeling, and standing positions. The goal is qualification, where each soldier must achieve a minimum score to prove proficiency. Marksmanship is not the only focus. Tactical training grows more advanced. Recruits learn buddy team movement, room clearing, and fire and maneuver drills. They practice communicating under stress and moving as a squad through simulated combat scenarios. Noise, smoke, and controlled chaos are added to increase realism. White phase also includes grenade training. Recruits practice with inert training grenades before moving to the live range, where they throw the M67 fragmentation grenade. Few experiences compare to pulling the pin, releasing the spoon, and watching a live grenade explode downrange. Another field event called the Anvil takes place here. This is a 2-day, 2-night exercise where recruits live in the field, practice patrolling, conduct raids, and operate as a tactical unit. It is the first time they experience sustained operations without the comfort of barracks. The white phase ruck march is 6 miles with about 40 pounds of gear. It often ties into the Anvil, serving as the movement to and from the field site. By now, recruits have learned to pace themselves and to help one another. The discomfort is still there, but endurance has grown. By the end of white phase, recruits are confident with their rifles, competent in small unit tactics, and beginning to think and act like soldiers rather than trainees. Blue phase. The third stage is the blue phase, which lasts from week 7 through week 9. It is also called the warrior phase. This phase focuses heavily on advanced field training. Recruits conduct patrols, set up ambushes, execute raids, and defend positions. They build fighting holes, maintain security through the night, and learn how to function in austere environments with little food and little sleep. Weapons training expands further. Recruits are introduced to machine guns such as the M249 and M240, to grenade launchers like the M203, and to the AT-4 rocket system. They also throw live grenades, if not already completed. Each new weapon builds versatility and understanding of the tools available on the battlefield. The blue phase ruck march is 8 miles with about 45 pounds of gear. This march is often conducted at night and over rugged terrain. It forces soldiers to push through fatigue and pain while maintaining formation. By now, blisters and soreness are normal. The march is as much mental as it is physical. Leadership becomes a central theme. Recruits rotate through squad leader and platoon leader roles. They are evaluated on their ability to issue orders, keep their people motivated, and accomplish missions under stress. Drill sergeants step back slightly, observing how recruits handle responsibility. The word ethos becomes reality. Soldiers learn what it means to never quit, to never accept defeat, and to never leave a fallen comrade. In the field, they carry each other's gear, share food, and pull each other through exhaustion. By the end of blue phase, they are nearly ready to graduate, but one final test remains. Red, white, and blue phase. The final stage of training is the red, white, and blue phase. It is the culmination of all previous instruction and is centered on the event known as the Forge. The Forge is a multi-day field training exercise lasting around 4 days and covering between 46 and 50 miles of movement under load. Recruits begin with a 10-mile ruck march to the training area carrying more than 45 pounds of gear. Over the next several days, they conduct continuous operations with minimal sleep and limited meals. Missions include land navigation, raids, ambushes, defensive operations, casualty evacuation, and extended patrols. Each scenario requires the recruits to demonstrate the skills they have learned throughout basic training. Drill sergeants act more as observers and evaluators, stepping in only to correct major issues. The responsibility falls on the recruits themselves to lead, plan, and execute. The Forge is intentionally exhausting. Soldiers average only a few hours of sleep each night. They march mile after mile across terrain, often in the dark, carrying their gear, their rifles, and sometimes additional equipment. Fatigue sets in quickly, but the pace never stops. The event concludes with a final 12-mile ruck march back to the company area. This last march is both grueling and symbolic. Recruits are blistered, dirty, and drained, but they march proudly. At the finish, drill sergeants who once shouted relentlessly now stand in formation to welcome them back. For the first time, recruits are addressed as soldiers. The last days are spent recovering, receiving final issue of dress uniforms, and rehearsing for graduation. Families arrive to watch the ceremony, where soldiers march in formation across the parade field, flags flying and cadences echoing. It is the culmination of 10 weeks of struggle, growth, and transformation.